The following program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
There has always been hypocrisy in politics to curse. But as the GOP proves constantly, these days it's even worse. They say deficits are bad, the safety net will have to ditch. Except deficits are fine as far as tax cuts for the rich. Those socialism handouts from the government they're despising. But funny, they go silent about business subsidizing. Students ought to pay their school loans off. By hard work they'll be driven. But they're just fine with their own PPP loans being forgiven. Athletes should shut up and play, except the ones who vote their way. Hypocrisy, thy name is GOP. Biden taking breaks in Delaware has his opponents scoffing. But they didn't seem to mind the time or money Trump spent golfing. How dare Biden use Marines behind his speech, such a to-do. Even though the photos show each other president did too. Biden called out semi-fascists, which they scream he should abandon, when their rhetoric's far worse, including "Let's go Brandon." They couldn't have been Snyder, yet they call him the divider. Hypocrisy, thy name is GOP. They spent months and millions on investigations of Benghazi, but accused the January 6th committee of acting like a Nazi. Only guilty people take the fifth because they're lying. But then their guy did it like 400 times while testifying. When Trump's involved, FBI agents are evil partisan hackmen, but they're the law and order party when the targets are young black men. Executive orders make them whine, but the Trump ones were just fine. Hypocrisy, thy name is GOP. They say guns, masks, and businesses we cannot regulate, but they're all over the way we marry, pray, or copulate. Transgender women in bathrooms they find scary and distressing. But it was fine for Trump to lurk where pageant teens were dressing. If Jesus came back now and saw their party, he would hate it. That's 'cause none of them will do a single thing he advocated. Family values they adore, but want Trump back in 24. Hypocrisy, thy name is GOP. They scream voter fraud's a sin, but not for races that they win. Hypocrisy, thy name is GOP. As this whole Trump cult just gets stronger, each rewrite of this song gets longer. Hypocrisy, thy name is, these folks are friggin' shameless. Hypocrisy, thy name is GOP.
Are you ready? Hello everybody, it's Jeff. Glad to see everybody here. It's nice weather here we're having. It's in the 80s and it's a little humid, but it ain't too bad. It's a nice day here today. It's good because yesterday was pretty cloudy and we didn't get much sun, but we're getting some today. Oh, so an update here on situation in Ukraine and Russia. Things are going badly for Vladimir. He's been losing a battalion a day in his fight in eastern Ukraine, and he was tricked into pulling his forces into the south, expecting an attack by the Ukrainians, and the Ukrainians went to the north and attacked positions by the Russians there, and they lost everything up there. The Russians did. People had simply pulled out as fast as they could, and they lost a whole area that was controlled by the Russians for about 6 months, I guess, 6 months. So it's really bad. The losses are piling up, and Putin, I don't know if you remember, but Putin had got prisoners from the Russian prisons, criminals, to basically gave them a choice. Well, you could stay in prison or you can fight, and a lot of them chose to fight. Well, a lot of those people that fled up in northern Ukraine when the Ukrainians went and attacked there were some of those prisoners, and they fled, and they asked for support, and the general said, "You're on your own." The Russian general told them, "You're on your own," and they said, "Well, they basically dropped all their shit, and then they took off, and they went into people's homes, stole some clothes, took off their uniforms, and now they're fleeing, going into, possibly trying to leave the country, Ukraine, as posing as Ukrainians, in order to escape, So now all these countries here that are accepting immigrants are going to have to double check now, make sure some of these people are not some of those prisoners or criminals that were in the Russian prisons, because they should be showing up on their borders here in the next couple days. So hopefully they're going to be on the alert, because you don't want to let these bozos into these countries here and continue, because Russia's not going to give two shits about what happens to them anyway. Plus, there's reports after they've taken that area up in northern Ukraine of hundreds of dead Russians just sitting on the ground in the gun towers, just rotting, and the Russians don't even take care of the fallen that have, they just leave them there. Sounds a lot like World War II. When the Soviets at the time would shoot their own people, if they chickened out and didn't want to fight, they'd kill them right there on the spot. And they didn't give a whole lot of care about what happened to them either. They were just, left behind to, rot and decay where they fell. Certainly not like the way Americans do these things. We try to take our wounded or dead back. We don't leave them there to die. But the Russians apparently, and any country that does shit like this with its own military deserves to lose. You know what I'm saying? They deserve to lose their fucking wars. They deserve to lose their country. They deserve to lose everything. Because when people don't even have any value at all in a life, okay, no value at all. I mean, you want to talk about people, the Trumplicans out there that bitch about abortion and stuff like that, okay? And yet, Trump allying himself to Putin doesn't seem to bother the hell out of them. You know what I'm saying? They don't care. And yet this guy is showing them that he cares nothing about life. Okay? If you die for him on the battlefield, then you're no good to him anymore. You're going to stay there like a used car. He doesn't care. So, these people that are sitting here railing against Democrats for being pro-choice, okay? Well, why aren't they out there railing against Trump for being allied to Putin for all this time? Having, Putin aid him in his financial needs to run for president and all that stuff. You know, all the things that he did that were revealed in impeachment hearings. Okay, why are they so quiet when it comes to that? You know, hypocrisy, folks. It's hypocrisy. And so, like I said, a country that does that to its own soldiers doesn't deserve to exist. And maybe that's the reason. Maybe that's where this is headed. Maybe this is the beginning of the end for Russia here, and it should be. It should be the beginning of the end, because, like I said, if you don't value your people, you can't be allowed to reign over them, because that's the whole point of having a government, isn't it? To make sure that you have organization, you have civility. Okay, how uncivil is that? To not care about people who fight for your country and all that, and you treat them like garbage after they get shot and killed. You don't care what happens to them. A lot of these people, these families in Russia, they're not getting the bodies back of their sons who fall in this war. They're just told they're dead, but they have no idea where they were shot, what happened to them, how they got killed. They're not told anything. They're just told they ain't coming home. Okay, but they're not even given the decency of any answers or a body to bury. How long do you think something like that would last in this country when people aren't getting, are being treated the same way? I'll tell you right now, they would be rioting out on the street. Okay, now apparently some of these Russians, some of these Russian officials aren't too happy right now about having lost so much already, how this war doesn't seem to have an end. There's a possibility they could lose it. And 30 Russians have risked opening their mouth by calling for Putin to resign, okay, his position. This just happened here about 30 minutes ago, okay? Oh, this was reported anyway, about 30 minutes ago, which tells me this is happened here not too long ago over there, because it takes a while for the news to get here. A petition was signed by a dozen of officials after it was posted by Xenia Torstream, a municipal deputy in St. Petersburg, Semyonovsky district, condemned Putin's invasion of Ukraine, which has lasted for nearly 7 months. Quote, it says, "We, the municipal deputies of Russia, believe that the actions of President Vladimir Putin harm the future of Russia and its citizens," unquote. That's what a translation of that document says. I continue, quote, "We demand the resignation of Vladimir Putin from the post of President of the Russian Federation," unquote. The petition was mostly signed by municipal deputies in Moscow and St. Petersburg, but city officials from Samara and Yakutsk, among others, have also signed the petition. Approximately 84 additional signatures have been added to the petition. They are still being verified, according to Torstream. The petition, a rare criticism of Russia's leader, placed the deputies at risk of jail time due to a law that criminalizes the publication of quote-unquote fake news regarding the invasion. That sounds awful familiar. Fake news? I wonder who does that over here. Okay. Offenders face up to 15 years in prison. Putin is notorious for shutting down his opposition, such as the trial of opposition leader Alexei Navalny, who was sentenced to 9 years in a penal colony earlier this year. Calls for Putin's resignation emerged last week when Dmitry Palyega, a deputy from St. Petersburg, Smolensk district, I'm sorry, I can't even pronounce these words, called on the Kremlin's State Duma to try Putin on charges of treason over the invasion. Palyuga was arrested last week as a result, but he has since been released, according to the Moscow Times. Russia held an election over the weekend, which is its first since the start of the war. While the election saw sweeping victories for the Kremlin, opponents have alleged fraud and vote rigging, according to a report from the Golos movement. So, on top of the sanctions, which are crippling Russia's economy, in fact, there's a lot of people, I think, are predicting that Russia's economy is not too far off the cliff right now, and it's headed for a crash, because having thousands of jobs ripped out from under the people in Russia from the Western world, and this never-ending fight here that's going to cost them dearly, both economically and in manpower. Okay, Putin's back is to the wall here. I saw it coming. I'm sure many of us saw this coming. Okay, this is the way things run over there in Russia. I mean, if you're a leader and you do something like that, it's like the Klingon Empire. You get challenged to your authority. That somebody will challenge you to your position, and it's a fight to the death. Okay, so what you're going to see now is people disappearing over there all of a sudden. You know, people falling out of windows for no apparent reason, or car bombs going off, or assassinations, you know, from snipers. You know, these people here that signed that thing, they're going to end up disappearing. You watch. That's what's going to happen. You know, because this is the only thing about life Putin understands, is that, because he used to be in the KGB. He only understands those kind of things. He's not very good at waging a war. We all see this now. He's been screwing up here royally for 7 months, and he hasn't come back with any, you know, any return here to the Russian people. He's losing. He's losing this war, people. There's no other way to say it. He's losing this thing. And the Ukrainians are kicking his ass, and he's losing troops faster than they can replace them. That's why he had to basically go and take prisoners and recruit them into the military to fight. Okay, a forced draft, if you will. Like I say, Putin, his back is to the wall. He's got to be feeling the pressure now. And like the only thing that he knows is, like I said, is his KGB training. And so he's going to go around and slaughter his opposition whenever they rear their ugly heads. Anybody over there right now that speaks anything ill of Putin is probably going to get whacked, okay, or arrested. Whichever is expedient. And people need to be careful. If you're over there and you say something, oh, Putin's in this, you know, hey, your eyes and ears everywhere, and you can't trust anybody. Somebody will rat you out eventually. So things are going to get desperate. It's already desperate economically right now. I mean, right now they're threatening to shut off all gas, electricity, whatever, to Europe. Okay, and Europe is saying go ahead and do it. We don't give a fuck. Okay, because, you know, if you want us, you know, if you're giving us two choices here, and there's really only one. Okay, and we're not going to side with you just so we can keep our asses warm this winter. You know, we don't like you. We don't want nothing to do with you. And if we have to freeze to death to prove it, so be it. You know, so people aren't in the mood over there to deal with this guy. You got the countries that are bordering his Russia nervous, and the people in those countries are tired of being nervous, wondering when they're going to be the next people attacked. Because they figure if Putin can't win there in Ukraine, he might try somewhere else, you know. But I don't think he will, especially after he takes all these losses. He ain't going to have much of a force left to go and do anything else. That's why I said early on in March, we should have went over there and said, look, bring the tanks, push them back out of the border, let Russia bark and squeal and hem and haw about we're going to launch nukes at you. He wasn't never going to do that, and he was never going to do that, okay? Not then. He wasn't going to have his country lost or destroyed just to take Ukraine, okay? That simply would be a misjudgment of a leader to risk his own land. I mean, it's a stupid thing, okay? It's a stupid ploy to try and think that, you know, he's going to go to war with the superpower over a country that's got nothing, okay? Its value is way less than anything, and it doesn't really mean nothing to him. I mean, what's he going to do with Ukraine if he wins this thing? I mean, what the fuck do you think he's going to do? He's going to have to spend tons of money trying to repair all the damage he's done. It's a loss no matter what you know, how you look at it. And Russia's got nothing. They don't have anything left to put into something like that, okay? That country's going to be devastated, and he's not going to be using it. It's just going to be dead, with a lot of dead bodies rotting over there, a beautiful country leveled. That's all it's ever going to be now, okay? So whatever value he had on that, it's not going to see any fruition, okay? And the only way he's going to be able to win this now is by using tactical nukes. And you know the first one he launches is going to spark everything, okay? He knows that. So, like I said, he's not going to lose his country over this fight here for Ukraine. That's why I said the United States, along with NATO, should have said, look, you step 1 foot over that border again, once you get out of there, once you step out of there, if you come back across that border, that's it. The birds will be in the air, okay? And like I said, Putin would be in no position to be able to defend against that, okay? I don't care what anybody says. He might be stupid when it comes to fighting a war, but he's damn sure not going to be dumb enough to try and take on a war that he knows he's going to lose. Okay? He knows he's going to lose. Christ almighty, do you think after all these years the Russians could really trust their own fucking nuclear arsenal right now? We saw what they were using to go into Ukraine. The fucking vehicles they were using were rusting out. Okay? Some of the equipment wasn't even working. That's why, remember that big long trail of vehicles they had on that road? I don't know where the hell it was, but it was over in Ukraine, and one of the vehicles broke down or something, and it held up a whole line of goddamn tanks, and it sat there for weeks. And everybody was saying, "Oh, let's bomb them. Let's get them." It's like, well, no, we don't have to worry about this column of vehicles here because they ain't moving anywhere. What we got to worry about is the people that are already in Ukraine, fighting right now inside the cities. Okay, that can wait till later because they're not a problem. And so they sat there while the Russians were dying all over the place and losing ground. Okay. So it's like I said, the Russian army may have been big at one time, but it's really antiquated now. Okay, whatever they think they got over there, the notion that Russia is really a superpower is a little bit far-fetched at this point. I think I don't believe that the Russians' superpower status is really that deserving. It's probably more in line with, let's say, Iraq or something like that. And they've been tearing apart all their submarines for the last few years now because they can't afford to maintain them anymore. So they take the cores out of the submarines and they've been using them for other things. But yeah, they've been ripping apart their old 1970s, 80s submarines because they don't need them anymore. After that, we had 15, 20 years of basically a ceasefire or peacetime between us and Russia. Okay, there's been no need for them to have all those submarines, and so they were just sitting at the ports rotting, for Christ's sake. And they took those all apart. Now, I'm saying they took all of them apart. They still have a few, but for the most part, they scaled down their navy to the point where they could, shrink it to the size of a Boy Scout club. You know what I'm saying? It really isn't like what it used to be. And so I have to think that their missiles and their silos, probably some of them won't even launch. If they ever push the button, they'd probably blow up right in the fucking silos, because that's how out of whack their military is. They've neglected it for over 20 years. They've neglected it. They never took care of anything. I mean, I even have a little bit of concern about the United States' missiles actually being useful, but that's a different discussion. Okay, but I do think the Russians have neglected their military for a long time over there. And, that might mean that, their bigger weapons are probably, unreliable. They may have taken some of them out of their silos because they knew they weren't working, okay, or something. And, so they may not have as many as they used to have. So like I said, I still say that in March we should have said, look, get your shit out of Ukraine or we're coming in there. And we won't stop at the border. But I would have sent our tanks, our Navy, our everything over there just to make a show of force, saying we're willing to go all the distance here to push you people out of this country. That's what I would have done. I'd have scared the shit out of him. He could sit here and shrug and puff and huff and puff all his want, but at the end of the day, he's going to sit and think, do I want to risk an irradiated Russia, over a captured country. You know, is it really going to be worth it? You know, to lose your country to win a war. You know. All right, let's have a commercial break. I'll be right back.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me. This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Once upon a time, in a place called Mzansi, the people loved driving cars everywhere. They used lots and lots of electricity and chopped down many trees for firewood. And then a very strange thing happened. The weather began to change. In some places there were droughts where before there was rain. In other places the rivers flooded. The grown-ups realized they were contributing to the strange weather. They discovered if they used clean energy and less electricity, they could save Mzansi for their children.
What happened then?
How the story unfolds is up to each and every one of us. Switch off, recycle, change. Help save tomorrow.
They're fascists. I think they want to use the power of the state to change the rest of us.
Falsely branding a political protest as an insurrection, that is the definition of authoritarianism, of fascism.
Their tactics are fascistic. The left wants power because that is essentially their state of grace.
The blackout of information by the left is pure fascism.
Turns out there are fascists in charge.
Nancy Pelosi is fascistic.
They're using, frankly, fascist policies to silence the right.
They use cancel culture as a tool to impose their fascism on us.
Well, I won't say fascists, but yeah, fascists.
This is fascism. This is fascism of the left.
You were talking about fascism. There's no other word to describe.
Oj, kolla här. Kolla här.
Då var det här en lavin eller?
Ja, den är kontrollerad. Alltså, det är såna jäkla krafter.
Är det safe?
Ja, de vet vad de gör.
Pappa!
Det är ingen fara.
Pappa! Kontrollerat.
Harry, det är lugnt, Harry!
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so today was, a news day for Donald Trump. USA Today here reports from Bart Jansen, an article here. It says, Donald Trump argued against allowing the Justice Department to review documents seized from Mar-a-Lago while a special master independently reviews the records under a court filing Monday that called the investigation, quote-unquote, unprecedented and misguided. The U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon temporarily halted the department's criminal investigation during the independent review, but she allowed the Office of the Director of National Intelligence to continue its security assessment of the documents. In a separate filing today, Trump's lawyers objected to the government's two candidates for special master without explaining the opposition in detail. Trump's lawyers argued that Cannon could hear their complaints privately. The government is asking the court to choose either Barbara Jones, a former federal judge in Manhattan who served similar special master roles in the investigations of Trump lawyers Rudy Giuliani and Michael Cohen, or Thomas Griffith, a retired federal appeals court judge for the District of Columbia Circuit. Quote, plaintiffs believes there are specific reasons why those nominees are not preferred for service as a special master in this case, unquote. Quote, plaintiff also submits it is more respectful to the candidates from either party to withhold the basis for opposition from a public and likely to be widely circulated pleading, unquote. Trump's lawyers proposed Raymond Dearie, the former chief federal judge in Brooklyn, who also served on the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, and Paul Huck Jr., a former deputy attorney general in Florida. Cannon hasn't set a deadline for when she will name the special master she authorized last week. The Justice Department filed a notification saying it would appeal her decision. In the meantime, the department urged Cannon to lift the restriction on investigators reviewing the documents because the same authorities who investigate criminal cases are intertwined with those contributing to the intelligence review. But Trump's lawyers, in their filing Monday today, said Cannon's ruling for a special master could restore, quote, order from chaos, unquote, in the investigation they argued sought to criminalize Trump's possession of his own presidential records. Quote, this investigation of the 45th President of the United States is both unprecedented and misguided, unquote, the filing said. Trump's lawyers also dismissed the urgency of the investigation, saying, quote, there is no indication any purported classified records were disclosed to anyone, unquote, according to the filing. The documents were locked in a storage room at Mar-a-Lago, which is secured by the Secret Service, Trump's lawyers argued. Really, his desk drawer is considered a storage room? Because that's where they found some of it. But former national security officials told USA Today the categories of classified documents found at a Mar-a-Lago would typically be read only in secure rooms authorized by the government and then locked in a safe. Federal authorities said there were no government authorized rooms for classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. FBI agents found 54 secret and 11 top secret documents among 11,000 documents seized at Mar-a-Lago. Another 48 empty folders had quote-unquote classified banners, and 42 folders were marked, quote, return to staff security military aid, unquote. Didn't say return to Donald Trump, did it? Okay. So, what you got here is them stalling tactics here. They were supposed to have all these people announced Friday night at midnight, from what I understand, and apparently no one's announced anything, which is of no surprise, which is why I didn't even stay up to hear it, because I knew there was going to be something there that would delay this even further, and I was right. Because with Trump, it's all about running out the clock now. I mean, because he knows he's that if this goes where it's going to go, he's going to end up in prison. He knows that. So all he can do at this point is delay. Okay, that's all he can do. And he's got all the attorneys that he needs to be able to drag this shit out, okay, until he passes away. He'll never see justice, okay, at his fucking age. Okay, by the time they ever come to the end of this thing, he'll already have been long dead. But the people that will be left behind in the wake of what he's done, the fools who bought all his stories and his lies, okay, they're going to be faced with a lifelong of shame, because they are now the suckers of the 21st century, okay? They're going to be considered the suckers of this, and they'll go down in history being labeled that. They won't be called Trumpers or Trumplists or whatever the hell you want to call them. They're going to be called suckers, the suckers of the 21st century, okay? And that's what they will be known as from that point on. And they'll have all kinds of pictures, which they show here in this article, of these suckers, okay? And I'll show you here because it's playing them right off right now. Okay, they're the suckers. Let me back that up here. Okay, suckers. Okay, and there's the sucker's home, King's house here with the police. That should be an image burned in their mind, because you'll never be able to think of Trump without a police vehicle somewhere nearby. But this is what these people are going to forever be known as, okay, in the history books, as the suckers of Trump. But they're going to be called, you know, like we had the court case of the century. We're going to have the suckers of the century, which would be the 21st century. They're going to be considered suckers. Because, like the saying goes, there's always one born every minute. Well, I think it all came to fruition when Donald Trump came to be into politics, okay? We got to see just how many of these people a minute there were. And right now, the suckers are not feeling too happy right now, because every day when they turn on the news, if it isn't Fox News, they're hearing all kinds of shit being said about Trump that they don't want to believe, okay? And when I say don't want to believe, that's exactly what I mean, is they're choosing not to listen. They choose not to believe what's being said because they've been told from the sucker-in-chief that everything is fake news. Just like what Putin was saying, fake news, okay? Okay, that's where Putin got that from, was Trump listening to Trump, fake news. Now Putin's saying that. That's how you know these two clowns are friends, okay? That's how you know. So anybody out there that says, oh, that Trump doesn't like, that's bullshit fucking shit, and you know it, okay? The two of them think alike, they act alike, they talk alike, okay? Just in a different language. But they're, but these people out there that love Trump to no end, okay, the suckers, they don't want to hear the truth, okay? They really don't. And they know in the back of their mind, it's like I said, inside every Republican is a Democrat screaming to get out, okay? They know in the back of their fucking mind that the Democrats were right about him all along, okay? They just don't want to admit that they were wrong, and they do not want to say that they were wrong, okay? They're stubborn people. They have to be stubborn in order to still care about Trump after everything that's come out, after seeing all these people in this country die because Trump was telling them that there was no pandemic, that there was all a hoax, that it was all, these people cannot live with the fact that they screwed up that bad, okay? They can't. They can't live with that. So they have to cling to where they feel they're the safest, by clinging to a lie. And that's what they're going to go to their graves with, okay? That's unfortunately what's going to happen. These people right now are never going to admit that they were wrong about Trump. I don't care how many fucking years you want to leap into the future to see if it's true. These people today, okay, especially the older folks, like in my dad's generation, they're going to go to their graves thinking that Trump was the greatest president, okay? But in the back of their minds, they fucking know. They know they've been had. They know they were lied to. And they feel rotten about it, but it doesn't feel good to be rotten. So let's feel better. Let's believe that he didn't do it, okay? Let's believe what he's been saying is true. And whenever we confront one of these Democrats and they start yakking about him, we'll throw that in their face because that'll piss them off, that'll shut them up. That's what they're thinking. That is what they're thinking, people. That's why you got seminar callers calling into radio shows, Democrat radio shows like Tom Hartman and stuff like, calling up and trying to say this shit, that they echo from Fox News on their shows and trying to say that, this is what's really going on, and what you're saying is just propaganda from the left, and yada yada yada. Okay, and the minute the host challenges back or throws something in their face to answer a question by, they change the subject. Okay, they don't want to talk about it because they know they'll lose on that ground. They change the subject. When they can't win on the next subject, they change the subject again. And then, before you know it, they hang up on you. Okay, that happens every time they call. Okay, they cannot defend their position, no matter how well thought out their answers are. Okay, which in most cases isn't really thought out at all, because even a kid could see through some of the crap they're trying to spew. But the fact is, no matter how well they have an argument, it always falls apart the minute it calls on them to think about facts, because they don't have any facts. All they got is the rants from a person like Alex Jones and Bannon and greasy people like that. Okay, that's all you got. That's all they got. And these people never talk facts on their shows. It's all conspiracy theory, QAnon type crap. That's all it is. And it's sad that we have people that can be that dense, okay? But it's not the first time in history that's happened. We know that humans are capable of deliberately deceiving themselves when they choose to do so. They can do it. Even in the face of all contradictory evidence that shows that they're standing, on the wrong side of history, they will cling to their fucking crap like it's gold, because that's the only way they can live with themselves. It's a psychological thing, It's about what makes you feel good. It's the same reason why people, whenever they're in bad times or something like that, and we tell them, cheer up. Well, that's another form of that, by thinking good thoughts and stuff. Well, when it comes to politics, when the person you supported through political election, loses, and you feel bad about it, if that guy comes out and says they cheated, now that's what happened. They cheated, you know, because now you feel better, because now it gives you a reason to think, oh well, they, you know, it was rigged. It was all this, you know. It was crooks that got into this thing and wrecked it for all of us. You know, it's a happier thing now. They got something reason to get up in the morning. Okay, before, if they'd have just accepted that, you know, maybe these Trumplicans probably would have woke up and blew their heads off or something like that because they lost the election. Who knows? That's how fanatical they are. We saw what they did on January the 6th. Well, who's to say that these people in a different reality wouldn't have killed themselves because they lost? That's been known to happen, especially in the business world. Okay, but these people had their hopes and their dreams chained onto Trump as a person. They didn't have their hopes and dreams chained to the right thing, which is the United States. It's like Biden said, when you bet against the United States, you're going to lose. Okay, and that's what they did. They bet against this country by putting their money on Trump, and on top of losing, he took their money and ran with it. You know, he cheated all he could to, you know, and he's got the money which he's using now to try to keep himself from jail. But the thing is that you know, this is what these people have got to live with. That's why you don't see any more Trump signs around town here that had, you know, when they were voting Trump in the last election, the one he lost. All those people took down their big friggin' homemade billboards and shit that were on their lawns. And people that go that far to show their support for somebody, you know, they are obsessed with fuck with that. I've never seen that before in any election since I've been born. I've never seen people take out and make a fucking billboard the size of this wall here, okay, and plant that on the ground, painted blue, Trump in the year. Never seen that in my fucking life, okay? And we had Bush, we had, you know, Reagan, we had Republican presidents before, and it was always just those little ones they put on the lawns, right? But no, when it was Trump, they had they had trucks out there with friggin' billboard signs in the trailer on the beds in the back, like they were billboards driving around town with that thing. Flags, Trump flags on the friggin' big trucks that people drive around here in Maine with. Never seen that before in any other election than that, okay? Not even the Democrats would ever pull stuff like that, but these guys did. So these were the fanatical Trump people in Maine that were doing. That's how you know who they were, is by looking at what they're driving, all the stickers they got on the back of their cars, you know, that are plastered all over the fucking glass. Okay, Trump this, Trump that, Trump. Okay, it's sickening to see, you know, just how insane they were with this guy. You know, you thought, it's like, don't you people remember what he did before he was running for president? You know, this guy was nothing but a casino loser. I mean, he couldn't even hold on to a fucking job. He'd lose all of his goddamn companies and stuff like that. He'd go bankrupt all the time. But he'd always try some other friggin' scheme or something to try to make more money, and then that would fall apart, you know? And then a reality show host. I mean, that's talk about scraping the bottom of the barrel, okay? He was down to that level. And his attention, he wanted so much attention, he couldn't get it through these things. So what was the best other way? It was to run for president, okay? And boy, did he eat that up. And the people that supported him, they loved to feed him it, okay? So they gave and gave and gave and gave, and they got nothing in return, not a fucking thing. Trump did nothing for these people. All the stuff that he promised he was going to do, he never did it. He did zilch. Except, well, okay, he did give tax breaks to the wealthy. That's it. That's all he did. And how did that help us in the end, okay? Our economy ended up ruined, okay? And not just because of that, but the pandemic too, which obviously he didn't care much about there either, okay? So you could say he contributed to that there. But the fact is, he absolutely did nothing but play golf. At this point, he should be the greatest golf player in the history of the world, as much golf as he played as president, okay? Jesus Christ. But this is the guy they pitched all their hopes on. And even though they got sold up down the river and ripped off, they still come back to be abused yet again. It's like that, what do they call it, the wife beater syndrome, whatever the hell they call it. You know, the wife gets beat by the husband and she keeps going back to him. These people love to be victims. They love to be victimized. Okay? These are the people, you know, who are always accusing Democrats of playing victimhood. But yet here they are. They're doing this right now, right to themselves. Every time they hold up a flag in support of Trump, they're saying, I'm a victim. I'm a victim. Come abuse me. I'm a victim. And, you know, what does it take to slap these people back to reality? What does it take? What does it take? They get mad at us because of the woke culture. Well, Jesus Christ, and that's probably why they are the way they are, because they're not woke. Okay, they're still asleep, and they don't understand a goddamn thing that's going on in the world around them because they don't want to look at it. So that's why we say woke. Okay, it's because we are awake. We know what's going on. We see what's going on truthfully. You don't. You choose not to know. You'd rather stay home, watch wrestling all day, eat pizza, you know, beat on your wives, you know, molest your kids. You'd rather stay home and do shit like that, okay, than actually, you know, turning on legitimate news or pick up a fucking newspaper and read about, to start with, your local news. Okay, a lot of people in the, you know, in the Trumplicans, they don't even get their local news right. That's why they're out there going to these school meetings and they're screaming about critical race theory, which is not taught in a public school. Okay, that's a college level, graduate level study. Okay, that's the only place you're going to get that course. Okay, and to this day, there's still Trumplicans out there that think that course is being taught in the 6th grade. Okay, and you know, like I said, they are not woke. They're not woke. They don't care to be woke. They don't want to know about what's woke. They're just sick of hearing about it. They're sick of being told they're stupid because they're not woke. And unfortunately, you know, if you don't realize that you are being negligent to your own reality, to the rest of the world, you do look stupid. Okay? We don't have any choice but to call you stupid, because if we understand it, why don't you? If you got a brain, you know, we got brains, you got brains, why aren't you using your brain like the rest of us are? You know, why can't you see what we're seeing? You got to be walking in the world with blinders on if you're not seeing the same things. You got to be. There's no reason in the world why you should be the way supporting this man or even talking about this guy. Okay, your party, if you've destroyed your own party because of your stubbornness, it's not hurting the Democrats so much. You're hurting yourselves, basically. You're destroying your own party by keeping yourselves connected to this bastard. He's dragging you down with him. You really want that to go the way that, you know, he's already taken your money. He's already fed on your support, okay, and he's lied to you. He's got you into trouble, legal trouble. A lot of you people, or some of you, on the run from the law because of what you did on January the 6th. He's split a lot of your families apart because, you know, some people in your family don't like Trump, and then there's some of you do. Okay, he's ruined your families. What more do you want to give this guy? Jesus. All right, everybody, that's it for today, and I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. So please comment and subscribe. I want to hear from you. And keep your ears open to local COVID-19 news and monkeypox. And please don't start fights out there. Try to live like the way Americans are supposed to live, okay? Live and let live. That's the motto here, I think, and that's really the only way in any part of the world that, you know, peace can actually thrive, is when people keep that in their mind, live and let live, okay? Because when you can't do that, you're just begging for trouble, and you could get yourself in danger. So do the right thing. So I'll talk to you all later. Take care.